Welcome back. In today's episode, execution killer number 4, motion versus action.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast
with your host, Thor Conklin.
Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tips, the tricks, the tools, the strategies, the psychology that peak performers use to get more done than 99.99% of the population. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done or simply want to execute at a higher level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Okay, execution killer number 4, motion versus action. Let's first talk about motion. What is motion? Running errands, starting a lot of small things and finishing none. Working on the urgent but not important. Cleaning, organizing, tidying things up, getting ready to execute. Here's one of my favorites. Learning. Listening to podcast after podcast, video after video, going to seminar after seminar. Learning. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with learning, but at some point you've got to start to execute. You've got to take action. Getting involved in something and then changing directions over and over again and never making any forward progress. Filing. Does filing have to get done? Sure it does, but it's motion. This is not action. Researching presentations, tweaking presentations, planning, organizing. Okay, a lot of you are sitting there saying, wait a second, I don't understand the difference between motion and action. Motion, as defined in the dictionary, is the process of moving or being moved. Definition of action: bringing about an alteration by force. Two very different definitions. Let's dig into this a little deeper. What is alteration? Change. Why do we find ourselves caught up in this motion addiction, where we're constantly just doing things, keeping busy? One is the workforce almost justifies this or actually inadvertently encourages it, right? If you're not busy, what's your boss going to say? Why aren't you doing something? Here, let me give you some more work. It's easy to be in motion, right? It's comfortable. It looks good. You think you're actually getting something done and you're getting something accomplished. Action, on the other hand, is hard. The motion starts to become your story. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm getting so much done. I've got so much on my calendar. And in a way, it starts to placate you. All right, great. So now we understand the difference between motion and action, right? Well, how do we stop it? Step 1. In writing, we need to identify what our goals are. We need to identify what the motions are that we've been caught up in. We need to identify the actions that we need to be taking or haven't been taking that are going to get us closer to our goals. Each and every day, we need to schedule 80% action activities and only 20% motion activities. There are going to be some things that you need to do which are motion. Do you need to research? Yes. Do you need to learn? Yes. Do you need to file? Yes. Do you need to plan? Of course you do. But these cannot be the majority of what you're doing. But for a lot of you, it is. And you think you're busy and you think you're making progress, but you're not. All this must be in writing. It must be on your calendar. And start to use block time. Carve out time where you specifically list on your calendar a set number of minutes, I suggest 50, and start putting in actions only. Now, for some of you, it's going to be difficult to establish what's an action and what's just motion. So I've come up with a question that will help you identify which is which. Take an activity that you've been doing that you're not quite sure if it's action or if it's simply motion. Take that activity, and if you did that activity for 7 days straight, not 24 hours a day, but if you did that activity 7 days a week, at the end of that week, would you be any closer to your goal? For example, if you did nothing but research for 7 straight days, are you any closer to your goal? No. Do you understand more? Yes. Are you better equipped to start executing? Yes. But you haven't moved any closer. All you've done is acquired knowledge. That is not action. That is motion. So if that activity is driving you closer to your goal, you're getting closer to it, then that's an action. Once you've identified whether this is motion or activity, find out those items that you're doing and taking action on, or you need to be taking action on, plug that into your calendar and make sure that 80% of your time is spent on action and only 20% on motion. You have your question of the day, or the question to ask to identify which is motion and which is action. Now, figure out in your life where you thought you were taking action, but you were only taking motion. Change those activities to action activities and do that now. Thank you for listening. If you've not already done so, please head to iTunes and subscribe to the show. Please leave us a 5-star rating after listening to the shows. Please share these episodes with family, friends, coworkers, or anyone that could benefit from this information. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. Email address info@thorconklin.com. And as always, decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.